Heyo, duckies and dice fiends! Welcome back. It is the Chaotic Wholesome Talk Show. I am Kay. I am one of your hosts. I'm here with David, who on this, I think you're over here on this.
Yep.
I gotta remember. David is also a host, and we doing stuff. For those of you who do not know, this is going to be our last talk show with David for a week, maybe 2, maybe 4.
A week.
We'll find out.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
We'll find out.
David is moving and needs a...
Captions need to be resized.
God damn it! And David is moving and properties. We'll do that.
Yes. David is moving, and so next week we will have special guest Matt, aka Mimics and Misfits.
Did I nail that the first fucking time? That's dope.
Looks like you did. Well done.
God damn.
We'll have Matt, aka Mimics and Misfits, on to talk about a thing, and Candace the Magnificent will be stepping in and playing host while David is losing his heckin' mind.
Yep.
Just you know.
Yep.
Dealing with
Just
all of
melting the fuck down.
David is insisting that the Baldur's Gate streams will happen Thursday and Friday, but that's a little bit of a question mark.
It's penciled in, not penned in.
So yeah, with that, like, hopefully Thursday, hopefully Friday. If not, I might stream some of my Evil JoJo Mart run, Stardew Valley, because like that's the thing keeping me going right now. So yeah, you are not going to see us in too many other places, though I do have other things happening that we will find out.
Yeah, we're working on stuff.
Later. So with that done, David, who the heck is you and what the heck is we doing here?
I That reminds me, I need to bring up so Kay, since we're here in front of everybody.
Oh
Um,
gods. Oh gods. Why, chat? Why did you do this to me?
right. So one of our redeems should be a dice jail because we have the D20 roll.
Mhm.
And more than once somebody has come in and rolled the D20 roll and rolled like a 3 and then like a 4 and then a 3 again. So there needs to be a dice jail redeem. But we'll get to that at some point. But
A little countdown.
yeah. But hey, Ribbon got a 13.
Not bad.
But hi. This is the I'm David, and this is the Chaotic Wholesome Presents Table Talk Tuesday, sponsored by Beyonce's Internet. Because we are all on
Finally got a
Beyonce.
sponsor.
Look, we are all on Beyonce's internet, and we are blessed that she allows us to be here. And we will do our best not to turn our talk show into a Stardew shitpost power hour.
I make no such promises.
Yeah, so come here to learn about how to be better at Stardew, because you can be better at Stardew. Learn how to be a better GM, be a better player, be a better person, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusivity so that everybody can have a good time.
That we are what? 8 minutes? That might be our longest intro to date.
I'm okay with that.
But you know. So yes, well, I'm just gonna blame it on the solar radiation that I got yesterday going up into upstate to see the eclipse, because I am in New York, rather against my will. But I got to see a cool thing.
I just saw the thing that you sent me.
Our friend Stardew Farm is impressive.
Yo, that's their farm.
Yeah, this might be a Stardew Valley episode.
Someone go check on them, cause
Real happy.
that is wild.
Yes. But we are not here to talk about Stardew as much as we could. Like, we could scrap the call right now and just go play
Yep.
Stardew. It would all be good. But
we could just fire up Stardew immediately and then turn it into no, but we're not going to do that. We actually have a topic. We always have a topic, but we also have a topic for this week.
and yes, this was very much like I was on the train. Yo, I left my house yesterday at 5:30 a.m.
Early.
and I got home an hour earlier than I was supposed to at like 9:50. So it was a very long day. I spent a lot of time on a train with headphones and Octopath Traveler 2 because Stardew isn't out on consoles yet. Which looks like healthy work-life balance. Concerned Ape and your team, take care of yourselves, do it right.
But also, get the fuck off of your ass and get some fucking work done.
I need it in my veins.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time thinking about like, and I am actually pretty fortunate in that I have seen the last 2 eclipses. I got to see the eclipse in 2017 in LA. And I got to see this one. And I kind of was having the thoughts of like, I haven't actually in a campaign seen too many like once in a lifetime, once in a generation, once in a very long block of time events. And I think those can be really, I think it could be a really interesting thing to explore. Like, even if we look at comets, how often do you have comets returning in your games? Right?
We have to be careful because I will put Mark Twain in a game, okay? Like Samuel Clemens will be in this motherfucker and he'll look up and be like, "Oh man, that comet is coming and I'm going with it."
We did have, I will give a shout out to Stephanie, who was one of the very first guests on the show, who did the game that David has now joined. It was a home game, and we were trying to hurry through this place because there was a baby dragon gonna hatch out of its egg. And it's not very often, you get to see a baby dragon hatch. So we were all rushing to try to get through the kobold tunnels to get to this baby dragon to see it hatch, and we missed it.
Aw, that sucks.
Kinley was very upset.
Probably still upset.
Probably. But, yeah, I wanted to somewhat put this to the chat, to you, David. Like, how many games have you been in where you have seen kind of those? Because we see a lot of festivals, right? We see a lot of reoccurring things. Hey, Faison, welcome on in. I hope Civilization is treating you well. Civilization the game.
I mean, both.
True. This is very true. Civilization is not really treating it well right now.
Right.
We see a lot of festivals and Christmas equivalents and those, but we rarely see comets or eclipses or hatching baby dragons. Like, David, have you come across any of those in your time? Like, once in a lifetime, once in an event, once in a campaign kind of things?
I mean, y'all did have a dragon show up.
That's true.
Like, the first dragon seen in hundreds of years.
That's true.
They
weren't very nice.
I mean, I was gonna say initially they weren't very nice, but it's true. Like after, they weren't very nice either.
Mm-hmm. And this question is for you as well, chat. Have you all had something like that happen, where there was an event on a calendar, a big natural or a crowning of a king or anything like that that's very rare to experience?
That's so. As someone who knew about the topic of this show days in advance, you would think I would have like something that I would have given this some thought, but I actually had given. I was like, we're going to talk about this. And I thought about all the different things, like ways we could talk, but my personal experiences. Oh, that's different.
Yeah.
I don't. So no, I haven't had any of that happen, but I have had campaigns where I have planned for it to happen. It just has not happened yet.
Yes. Any you can share, or are they all in the future for if our home game ever starts?
Well, also I just got hit with the, oh man, it's been a long time since I've like run a game. I really need to like run a game, but like life stuff has to like sort out.
Yeah. Yep.
But soon.
Stuff's got to chill out before we can do that.
Right. So like different things. One, in the home game, going to bring about the apocalypse. Two, in we had a coronation in my 2E game just before we all died in the apocalypse.
Oh.
Wow.
I will turn myself up. I was having some odd sound issues earlier.
Yep.
So,
and we narrowed it down. We got it figured out.
Yeah, we figured that out. Let me know if I'm still quiet.
I'm probably a little loud.
Thank
because
you.
I know on my Helldivers streams I'm a little loud.
That's just your natural state of being.
True.
And we appreciate it.
I never thought, like Baby David never thought, oh man, being loud and having an opinion about things is going to be good. Like it's going to be a feather in your cap. It's interesting because on the one hand, so like in another thing that we're working on, not like the Wednesday thing we're working on, but like the longer term thing, there are a couple of like big once in a lifetime events that we have, and now it's a good, like now I think about it, and Eclipse is a good one to put in there. But like one of the political things, my guy, I cannot. Sorry, my phone is ringing. And it's someone I need to talk to, but now is not the time. But uh, uh, but a not necessarily a correlation, but not correlation, coronation, but a shifting in the political power structure at the top is a thing that we have planned. And depending on how much stability you have, that is a once in a lifetime event. Or, you know, if you're in a country that has its domestic policy orchestrated by the CIA, then that's like an every 15-minute thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Also,
but
keep talking. 1 second.
but it's a good idea to like now is a good idea to put eclipses into your shit. That's something I hadn't considered. And you know, in thinking about this episode, I thought a lot about like ways in which you can utilize it. Like, for instance, I have a thing planned in our home game, and I've spent at this point years debating on how to start a clock so that the players feel rushed to get to the end. And given the events of the past couple of days, you know, like saying this has to happen with the eclipse, and the eclipse happens in 14 days, is a great way to do it.
Yeah. Critical Role, which again, campaign 3 is not for me, but I got through as much of campaign 3 as I did. It was all heading to like, the solstice is going to happen, and ley lines can be triggered during the solstice. So it very quickly became clear that like, oh, we have to do this before. Hey, Seth, come on in. Like, we have to do this by the solstice, or else the baddies are going to be able to like rewrite magic in their image.
Yeah, that's bad.
Isn't that right? Isn't that right?
That's bad. That's
also
real bad.
Like big things like births and deaths of gods. A god coming to power, a god dying or falling from power. Dragonlance has that sort of thing built in, of course. The phases of the moons, the night of the eye. Ooh. We are about once in a lifetime, once in a campaign events, and what some of those can be. If you've experienced it or planned one, like how did you play with that? I also want to show this off really quick, because speaking of the eclipse, I got to go see the eclipse with the incredible Mimics and Misfits, who's hanging out in chat, and look what he gave me.
Ooh, that's great. That is great.
It's so
that
good.
Is great,
isn't it?
That is super duper good.
Thank you so much, Matt. There's gonna be notes for games in here.
Godplane is a game where we had a once in a lifetime thing where, for better or worse, players witness the birth of a god or multiple gods. It's very timey-wimey, but like,
yes.
The events of the God plane are very much a once in a lifetime thing. Yep, he sees it.
Yep. It is Gilmore time.
He's like, you're busy. Here I am.
Exactly. So yeah, Facedown said they witnessed a coronation before everyone died in the apocalypse. Oops.
Right.
Oopsie. We missed the hatching of a baby dragon. That was the big pressure. We had to get through this. And it was we got to a door. We had to keep moving. It was like, whatever you do, keep moving. We got to a door with a little sliding puzzle thing on it. And everyone's trying to figure it out. And my derpy thembo is like, well, I'm sure I don't know. I just stood back and watched because, you know, sometimes you got to do what the character would do. No one tried the door. The door wasn't locked. We could have just walked through. We spent so long messing with the puzzle that we missed the hatching of the baby dragon. I'm not topic. Overthrowing a corrupt regime that controlled all trade, had totalitarian power over the continent. The first arc became about that, and then we made it so that the sequel arc was about dealing with that fallout. No, it absolutely is. And
Topic is always open to chat because it's a talk show. We're supposed to talk.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
um so like Kinley stepping back and going, I'm not going to figure this out is an important lesson for all of us. Because and especially for someone like me where like not only do I have an opinion about a lot of things, but I've worked really hard to educate myself on a lot of different um just different topics and different like scholarly things. Like I've been able to have in-depth conversations with people who are experts in their field in a way where I could like talk to them not necessarily as an equal, but like ask the deeper questions that a layman wouldn't be able to ask.
Mhm.
And it's important to recognize when you just don't know shit and
Mm.
when you don't have anything to add and when you just step back and go, all right, well, I'm gonna let the people who understand what's happening here have all the discussion and then make the decision.
Oh, and it's also, I would like to say it's also a testament to Kay for letting go of something because
Oh yeah, yeah,
uh, uh,
yeah.
Rex says his players have 30 days to solve a mystery as a clock on the story arc, as that is when the international negotiations end.
Ooh, international intrigue. I am here.
Mm-hmm.
The main takeaway from learning a lot should, in my humble opinion, always be I know very little and can and should always learn new things. Like, yeah, like that's the good the good approach. Like, um, I had someone who was a friend of the stream ask me how we did a particular thing. And I was like, listen, I'm not the expert here, Kay is the expert, but here's all the things that we do to make that work. And he was like, okay, dope. And then like, asked me a couple more questions. And I've always approached it towards in the way of like I know a thing, and if I have things in here that someone wants to know or that can help somebody, then I want to get it out so that person can make use of it. And conversely, if you know a thing and I don't know a thing, tell me the thing so I can know a thing. And there's historically speaking, education has always been a class tiered thing. Knowing things, even knowing how to read and write, has been the province of the wealthy. And so not only do I want to both learn and spread knowledge, and spread knowledge as a way to like spit in the eye of the haves as a have not, um, but it's also how we as a civilization like go forward. Like it, it is like the top 0.1% of people who are just dragging the rest of us forward. Like the people that put us on the moon, the people that to this day work at NASA and shoot things into space, and we're like, oh man, Velcro's awesome. Like that's not like your average person, and it doesn't need to be. And there's nothing wrong with not being the guy who invented Velcro, or not being the woman who was the computer that put men on the moon. Um, but I do those people are special, and the closer I can get to that, and the closer I can get all of us to that, that increases the range that those people can push further out. Um,
And knowing when you know enough to be dangerous is also very important because I have definitely been in spaces where I'm like, hmm, I know enough here to know that I'm out of my depth, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
mm-hmm.
uh,
And far too much like this sort of knowledge is used as a way to like belittle others or lord over people or whatever, and that's just gross. Because there was a time when all of us didn't know.
mhm. But yes, David, if in your thoughts, in your contemplations about this topic, right? What all events did you have
So
to throw at us?
so like I was so again, you ran into a dragon,
Mhm.
so another dragon might show up. A certain thing that lurks would wake up.
Mm,
That would be bad.
mhm,
Um, and celestial events are great, except that smart people can predict them.
mhm.
And it's a double-edged sword because on the one hand, you could be like, all right, we know everybody knows this thing's coming up. All sorts of people are going to be doing things about it. Um, and and that's gonna light a fire under not just your ass but many asses. Um, but on the other hand, that means that this clock has been running this whole time, and it's very different than a clock that just turns on.
Mhm.
Because like people use the solstices for a lot of that. Like you talked about earlier, like we see a lot of festivals. A lot of the festivals are the summer solstice or the winter solstice. Um, and and I also like as a very bad Catholic, I go back to the Bible quite often. Um, because look, if you're a Catholic, you're not supposed to read the Bible too closely. Like don't do that. Don't That's bad. That's bad. Don't do it. Um, but you get biblical, where you dig up like a flood, or you dig up like a volcano going off, or all of these like big once in a lifetime events, hopefully once in a lifetime events,
Yeah.
that fundamentally shifts your world, but that also starts a timer.
Mhm.
Like the earth starts going jiggle jiggle jiggle, and then a certain witch is like, hey, you feel the jiggle jiggle jiggle, it's gonna get a whole lot worse. And then you're like, ah. um but more, I've spent a lot of time thinking about like how you can employ all of these things storytelling wise,
Mhm.
because there's so many things that you could do with it. Like it's a great
Mhm.
way to ramp up tension. It's a great way to get the fuckers moving.
Mhm.
Like was it second campaign of Critical Role where they got like a castle or a fort or something?
That was the first one.
First one. And it's like there's no reason that they can't just like ride out into the sunset and be like, well, I'm a feudal lord now. But you're sitting around sipping your tea, like making sure that the peasants are doing the peasant thing on your lands, and then all of a sudden a meteor appears in the sky and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then someone looks at it through a telescope, and there's somebody riding that thing with a cowboy hat and cowboy boots, playing
And his name is
Beyonce,
Jack Harkness.
right? And giving you the middle finger. It's like, I'm coming, and has a
Yeah.
sign that says I'm coming. Then it's like, well, maybe I should put this tea down and get up and go find where like my adventuring gear was, because there's a thing coming.
Mhm. Well, and it doesn't just have to be celestial. Uh, the thing that's about to happen all across the states is two huge groups of cicadas are all going to come out at the same time. Just just hundreds of thousands of bugs all coming out of the ground at once. Two groups that have never come out at the same time since um Thomas Jefferson was president.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember what year Thomas Jefferson was president because I am a bad American.
1800s.
Well, I mean, I know it was before 1865 for like a
Yeah.
very obvious reason.
But yeah, like there's, and again, most of these, unless you're in a very futuristic or warning of doom of the land, exactly, Tim. But like unless you're in a very low magic place, what weird magic stuff can happen?
Right.
Are there weird magic blocking flowers that are going to start blooming? There's no reason you can't have flowers that are going to heck up your caster. And
I
now
mean,
your team's got to
we all
scramble.
have allergies.
Yeah. Oh, God, it's so bad right now.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you know this is going to happen and this pollen's going to be in the air and it's going to make all of your magics that much more difficult, what does your party have to do to prepare for that?
And also, what I love but have not been able to do yet, or at least have not been able to do often, is to take like a high sci-fi, like a very futuristic setting, and then do some biblical shit. Like have a guy in a robe with a walking stick and be like, see this, every faucet in the city now runs with blood. And then have people with like technology look at him and be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, the earth cracks and a volcano comes up in the middle of fucking Night City in Cyberpunk, which, or actually no, in Night City it would be the big one. Like there would be a giant earthquake that split, because it takes place like, in Southern California. And so, religious people have been telling me about the big one is going to punish us all for having West Hollywood this whole time. And
But West Hollywood's worth it.
I was just about to say, I was like, listen, God can smite us, but some of the drinking that I've done on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood, worth it. Strike me dead with a bolt of lightning because it was good. It was worth it. And then when I get up there, I'm going to ask for a margarita. I'm like, hey, remember the margaritas from Fiesta? Give me a picture of those. And St. Peter's going to be like, I told him not to smite you. I really just didn't want to like, I got a vacation coming up. You were supposed to show up during the vacation. I wasn't good. I'm like, yo, go in the back. Go check in the back and see if you got God. Like go look in the back. Don't just go and turn around. Go look in the shelves and bring him out here. That is. You're
gonna go full Karen at.
Absolutely. And I understand that St. Peter's gonna look at me and be like, "Listen, I can't let you in." That's fine. But during that whole discourse, we're gonna have some words.
Hey, Candace.
I'm definitely gonna need to speak to your manager.
As we said before, David is going to be missing next week, and Candace the Truly Magnificent is going to be taking over as our co-host. And I am just so excited. I'm going to miss the heck out of you, David. But also, I get to hang out with Candace, so it sucks to be you.
It does. I am more than a little sad, but that's okay because I will have my phone and I will be able to terrorize you. And I'll probably be drunk. I'll probably be very drunk.
And you will deserve it.
Yeah, I got to get a desk, but I'm looking forward to it.
Candace, we are discussing once in a lifetime or once in a generation or once in a campaign events in your games. Obviously, referencing like the solar eclipse, but also earthquakes, volcanoes showing up out of nowhere, dragons hatching, or just thousands of cicadas coming out of the ground. All at once. Just all the heck at once.
Button. Yeah, I can click a thing. Let me scroll up in chat because said for the topic, overthrowing a corrupt regime that controlled all trade had totalitarian power over the continent. Oh yeah, you read that one already. Whoops. Mm-hmm. Now here's the move. Is you commit the coup and then you become the totalitarian regime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we have gone on many asides with Stephanie about the absolute atrocities that Kenley has accidentally committed.
Yeah, Kinley low key has gone through the Geneva Conventions as a checklist. Just like check, check, check.
Genuinely trying to do good things in the process. Soul accidentally started a sex cult, but that was a little bit of good intention. But
Soul only accidentally started a sex cult because they were trying to get laid, and what happens happens.
They saved people, and then they wanted to.
That falls under what happens happens.
Yeah, that was very great. And then they started to get clingy, and they were like, "Ooh, no thank
Gross.
you."
Yeah, we're not here. Ah, man, Soul is the epitome of avoid attachment, and that's what I'm here for. I completely forgot.
I was waiting to see what that was going to be.
This is going to be some slander.
Rex is imagining St. Peter as a bouncer/doorman instead of the maitre d' for the first time.
Yeah, no, St. Peter is definitely like got the thing in his ear and is pretty swole, and he's got the clipboard and is like flip, flip, flip. I don't see your name here. You gotta move to the back of the line.
And you're like, there is no line.
Right. I'm like, listen, you go in there, you get your manager. You get on the horn and you radio for that guy to come out. Tell him to bring his boxing gloves because we have to have a conversation. Manifest a front lawn so we can fight upon it. But no, we have a topic. The once in a life, and like the Bible is great inspiration. It's great inspiration. Like everybody loves a good flood. Everybody loves a good plague or two.
In moderation.
Ooh, really? Ah, man, I forgot that we just had one. And by had one, I mean have one, because for those who are, we are in the trenches still, and people out in these streets acted like we're not, and it's funny to me because the Eclipse is not just a super spreader event, but also it's a super spreader event that makes people blind. Like the searches on why do my eyes hurt in the regions where it happened went up dramatically. And it's like, I don't know, bud. I don't know why your eyes hurt after an eclipse where everybody said, hey, don't look directly at the sun. It's never okay to look directly at the sun. And then you looked at it.
Technically, it is okay to look directly at the sun if you are directly in the freaking center of the path of totality. Once it is completely behind the moon, you could take off the glasses and look.
I'm sorry.
But if you're even at 99.9, you can't do it.
The sun has been an eldritch horror. Long before I was born and long after I die. And one of the many things about this eldritch horror is, much like Medusa, you don't make eye contact. And so, no matter how much expertise someone says, hey, under these very specific circumstances, you could this eldritch horror, you could go ahead and look at. No. Just like if Jacques Cousteau, no, not Jacques Cousteau, if a billionaire was like, hey, we're going on a 3-hour tour in a submarine, I'm going to be like, nah, no, pass.
Yeah.
Hard pass. No thanks. Because
Rick says, reminds me of the Irish drinking toast. Lord, turn my enemies' hearts so that we might be friends. And if not, turn their ankles that we might know them for their limp.
Amen.
Now we know them for their squint.
Right. And yeah, it's just there's something, again, going back to like the pandemic, I did not believe that there were people who would hide their zombie bite.
We all owe an apology to zombie movies and Jurassic Park after the pandemic.
Right. Because the people who looked the Eldritch Horror directly in the eye, eyeball to eyeball, and suffered its sting are the same. After expert was like, by the way, don't. Are also the people who would hide a zombie bite. Bananas.
It won't happen to me.
Yeah, well,
it won't happen to me.
Right. And just and I won't go into like a whole like political thing. But there's a subsection of people that do not care about things until they happen to them.
Mm.
Whether and like to avoid like the really extreme stuff, let's just talk about homelessness. The social safety net about the social safety net on like unemployment and like rental assistance and like all these things, and there are all these people who are like, if you need that, you're just lazy, and then they get laid off, can't find a job for a year, and they're like, oh man, I need rental assistance, and you're like. And it also like the people like celebrities who are like who sign on to big charities. Like we have heard speech after speech after speech of people going, "Oh man, I didn't know nor care about multiple sclerosis until my daughter got multiple sclerosis and then got hit by a bus. And now I am the spokesman for the multiple sclerosis isekai pipeline charity." And it's like this has been a thing this whole time. And I'm not saying that everybody has like bandwidth for everything all the time. But maybe, just maybe, you should have a little like empathy for people who are undergoing things that you personally do not suffer.
Rubodonsis is of the mind that I won't do the thing, but it will somehow still happen to me. Which, yes, I understand that very, very well.
Oh yeah, whenever somebody's like, "Oh man, what are you doing in zombie apocalypse?" I'm like, getting bit and dying," and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Listen, whatever plan I have, that motherfucker gonna chomp me.
Yeah.
He gonna sink his teeth into me."
So, I want to talk about taking these normal festival kind of commonly occurring events and pairing them with some of these weird, strange, be it celestial, be it cicadas coming out of the ground.
Oh man, cicadas, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna get real loud.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's gonna turn into like a '90s Japanese anime. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be bad. So like, for example, you are building up this festival. Your party is going to a new town. You know they have a festival that happens in that town. They get there. The festival is still a couple days or a couple weeks, depending on what you've got going on, away. And they start talking to people about the festival, and the kids are all talking about, I hope I see whatever this world's version of Santa is. Or maybe it's the idea of there's a shooting, there are shooting stars. If there's a meteor shower, if there are shooting stars the night of this festival, it means we're going to have a bountiful harvest, right? So people are putting together offerings, or whatever superstition, whatever tradition they have. You could start leaning into those kinds of things and playing up like, oh, will this happen? Will this not? Especially if you're like, oh, well, if X happens, that means it's a good sign. And so you're all gathered at this festival. Everyone has done their little offerings. You're all gathered, looking at the stars, hoping, waiting to see if there's going to be shooting stars, to see if it's going to be, a bountiful year. And then there's an earthquake. or there was only one big red comet going across the sky, right? How do you play with those kinds of omens to lean into, hey, this is a festival where X usually happens. Does X happen and it's going to be a good thing, or does Y happen, it's going to be a bad thing, or does the complete unexpected happen? And now your party has to figure out, oh, what does that mean? Because there are no local superstitions or lores around an earthquake that night.
So, one, I'm still stuck on the cicadas, and I'm fingers crossed that is a thing that happens elsewhere.
Yeah, it's not going to happen where you are.
Okay, good, because
there might be some, but it's not going to be those numbers.
Because I've tried very hard to like not be where those things happen. Give me an earthquake. Because earthquakes come in two varieties.
Cicadas are harmless.
The, hey, did you feel that? Or this is the end times. That's it. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because there's nowhere on Earth that's safe. That's 100% safe. You're gonna get got. That's fine.
Got an earthquake in New York.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, New York earthquake, blizzard,
fire season,
flooding,
ash now.
Fire season ash, and wasn't there a hurricane like last year?
Okay.
So you're getting all of the. All I'm saying is that like maybe go get some holy water, and like some fresh kosher salt. Make yourself a little ring around the bed, because they apparently.
My cats will mess that up.
Immediately.
I don't think it was that funny, David.
No, because I just pictured like an episode of Supernatural where somebody like runs into a room, grabs a salt, makes like a ring, and then like a demon shows up and is like, "Oh man, I can't get around this barrier. Fluffy, get in here." And then the cat walks up to the person and it's just like and just like breaks the line of salt, and you all you could do is stand there and watch it happen because you can't reach out on the other. And just
fire, air, and water. Got to work on my bending skills now that the eclipse has kicked my superpowers on.
Yeah, that
says Rex.
It. Do not be mistaken. Both Kay and I got raptured, and we took a look around and we're like, nah.
Yeah.
Because like we showed up, Kenneth Copeland was there. We had to leave.
Yeah.
And so we came back for you. But yeah, like, you know, we're all benders now. The eclipse gave us all superpowers. It's great. It's dope. But no, it was hilarious because a cat would absolutely mess up a ring of salt and get you invaded by like all of the bad things that are out there. Because cats can't leave anything the fuck alone. They
really can't. My cats would absolutely do that to me and condemn me to a circle of hell forever. They would be upset that I didn't give them treats before I went. Says
right.
Right. Yeah, eclipse powers are definitely the best.
They'd be mad that dinner was late. They'd be like, what the hell are you doing?
Did you all see there's an incredible photo of someone was taking a photo of the eclipse, and it's full eclipse with just the corona ring around it, and there's an airplane.
No, that's
so
hilarious.
Good. It's so good.
And something I'd like to point out, because like when we're talking about like celestial events, Earth having a moon that is close enough to disrupt the water, but not close enough to like collide with us, is an extremely rare celestial event. Like, you know, hundreds of thousands of planets, a bunch of those planets have moons. Extremely few of them have either like the moon set up the way we do, or that the path of the moon goes between whatever central star is in that solar system and the moon, and all these other things. And it's like the aliens, and this isn't a conspiracy. This isn't a Roswell thing. I'm saying statistically speaking, there has to be either now or was or will be life on another planet. Like, let's not get down the rabbit hole. But there are things that we experience, like an eclipse, that is something that, celestial speaking, is something just doesn't happen. Like, statistically speaking, doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And so, if your approach to the eclipses was the same as my approach, which is like, oh man, there's stuff happening up in the sky, I don't give a shit. It's like that old
Ilaria.
That old meme where it was like New Year's and it's like a dude playing a video game. And then, like, the first panel, it's like video game. And then the second panel, there are things going on outside. And third panel, he goes and looks, and there are all the fireworks going off because it's the New Year. And then the fourth panel, it's him back at the... Like, I didn't even look outside. And, like, in LA, there was, I think, a partial eclipse. Or what? I don't care. Like, the moon gonna do what it do. The sun gonna do what it do. The world... and I understand why it was important to people. It's just not important to me. And that's okay. We can have different things that are important to different people. But, like, if you were an alien on another planet, hundreds of thousands of light years away, and you're like, hey, this planet's gonna have like a thing where its moon gets between its sun and the planet, and it's like blocked out. It is, well, fuck it, let's buckle up and go. Because there were people who drove 1,000 miles to see the eclipse. Yep. Every Airbnb along that entire belt was locked the fuck solid. Down.
Yeah.
Well,
like I was saying, when Matt and I were out there, the Vikings used to scream at the sun during the solar eclipse to make Fenrir spit the moon back out because they spit the sun back out because they believed that Fenrir the wolf swallowed the sun, and they had to scream to make it. They had to scream, "Drop it!" Basically, drop it, drop it. Only it was Vikings, so.
I did not know.
Uh-huh.
One, that's super fucking cool.
Uh-huh.
Two, I'd be like, maybe you can keep it. Maybe we'll play fetch later. Like, just...
No give, only throw.
Right. No take, only throw. Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, imagine aliens traveling 50,000 miles just for the eclipse. But also, like, and we haven't even gotten into, we've only talked about, like, campaigns that are focused on one planet.
Yeah.
If you're playing a Starfinder or a Spelljammers or any interstellar game, you can witness the birth or death of a star. You can watch something go supernova, right? You can witness the birth of a galaxy, right? Like, what are some of these really cool things that either can be predicted or there are rumors that it's going to happen? How can you put these bits of lore of like, oh, this world is alive and breathing, right? How good are your astronomers? Can they predict that a comet is coming back? What does it look like if a comet appears in the sky? How do the people of that world react to it? Or interdimensional games, exactly.
So Doctor Who is not everybody's cup of tea, and I understand that. But there's an episode where they go to there is a ship there's a time traveling ship that watches the end of the universe.
Mm.
Like you could go and like, you know, there's a buffet. There are waiters walking around with champagne, and you watch the death of the last sun. The completion of the heat death of the universe. And it's a murder mystery. Like the doctor shows up and was like, we're just gonna watch the end of the universe. This would be great. A couple of my buddies are still here. And then someone gets murdered. And then he got to run around and figure out. And it's just like, that's such a fucking cool idea. I will absolutely fucking steal that. And I will slip in a moisturize me at some point. Both in honor of Doctor Who and in honor of Herb.
Rex says, imagine a moon that is larger but further away, so the same chance of an eclipse, but each time the moon gets closer.
Yo.
In fact, red dwarf stars could outlive the heat death of the universe. But
So
yeah, I also love astronomers with meteorologist accuracy. 20% chance that this comet's showing up tomorrow. Watch the night skies tomorrow. 20% chance.
that would be hilarious. But okay, so like anyone who's played Final Fantasy X or who's played Zelda Majora's Mask, because in Final Fantasy X, there is a you can set your clock to when the Eldritch Horror shows up and destroys the world. Like, oh, you have sufficient like civilization here. Like y'all figured out how to fish and stuff, and you figured out how to like fire and how to build huts. We're coming to wreck that shit. You got 10 years. Go. And so it's really just like Noah's flood every 10 fucking years. It just wipes out everything. And the idea behind Final Fantasy X is that you then go and stop that cycle. You break that cycle of this thing coming. But also, in Majora's Mask, the moon... You're back early. Listen, Moon's Haunted is one of my favorite memes ever. It's like, you're back early. Grabs gun. What's that for? Moon's Haunted. Slides magazine into gun. Gets back on ship. But yeah, in Majora's Mask, like the moon coming. Oh Lord, he coming.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that also would be like really fascinating of like setting up a game where it's like, this is the end of the world. And you gotta figure out that motherfucker's coming. And we've known they've been coming for like hundreds of years. Oh, water on Mars. Listen, Doctor Who is not gonna be a whole rant, Kay. It's not gonna be a whole rant.
Okay.
Part of the point of Doctor Who is the audience figuring out that Doctor Who is a monster. That man, now not just man, but that alien goes place to place, destroying everything, and on top of that has multiple genocides under his belt. And there are multiple times in the show where there's like some big bad guy and, you know, is ranting at him and whatever. And he's like, I obviously didn't say this loud enough. I didn't say this clearly enough. I am the doctor. And then that person and like an entire fleet were like, oh, no, we don't want none of this smoke. Look, Mr. Doctor, I apologize. Could we offer you like an egg in this trying time? Like we're gonna go back to where we came from, away from you. And if you could just like slip us a postcard when you've left our timeline, so that we can go back to being normal people, that would be swell. But in the meantime, we're gonna sit at home and do not a goddamn thing because you're here.
1 minute, 25 seconds. Not bad.
Oh man, you time me. Look, if you think I don't have a 17-minute rant about Doctor Who in me,
I know you
do.
do. That's why I wanted to time it. Yes, the moon. I talked about this very early in the episode, Rex. Yeah, the moon and the solstice were also a big deal in Critical Role. Do you think that eclipse counts as a fixed time event? So, okay, I am a nerd. I love space and I love astrophysics and I love all of that. I can't do the math. I am a cheerleader. I'm like, this is shit that's cool. Yeah. One of the coolest things I did, so as most of you know, I used to work for DeviantArt and I got to write some of the editorials and articles that went up. And I wrote an entire article on why is winter coming? And this is back before we all didn't hate Game of Thrones. This is when we still liked Game of Thrones. And I explained, like, hey, there can be an axial wobble, which is if and it's true, if it is true, the stories that, not Middle Earth, wow, that Westeros used to have 2 moons and 1 moon cracked open and that's where dragons were. But if it had a second moon and it lost that second moon, that could mess up the balance of that planet. Our axial wobble is actually very stable and consistent, which is why we actually have pretty standard seasons. But if that's broken, right, if the planet loses a moon, it can start swinging all sorts of directions, which would result in winters that last for generations, winters that don't happen for a long time. Oh goodness, what are we contributing channel points for?
Allie asked, how do I unlock the full rant?
What if you're on one of those planets where stuff is moving around, so you don't quite know, especially with sword and sorcery technology, what constellations you're going to see at any given time of the year? Because they might move depending on how wild your planet's axes are.
I also love the idea of, like, your campaign starts.
Yeah, binary star systems.
Right. But, like, your campaign starts and you're sitting around a table and there is an astronomer with just scrolls and scrolls and scrolls and is like, this can't be right. Like, what do you mean this can't be right? One of the constellations moved. It's like, what do you mean? What are the... So, you know the one that's shaped like a tiger? Like, yeah. It turned this way. And then, like, that being, like, the start of, like, your campaign.
There's a thing I want to talk about. We can't talk about because it's eventually, hopefully, maybe going to be a thing. But, yeah.
Also, I'm glad that all of you have so many channel redeem points, because that means y'all have been locked in here for a while.
Right.
And
also,
I appreciate it.
Mimics and Misfits, nice. Oh, Don't Look Up is excellent.
I have not seen it yet.
Oh, you should. You will appreciate. It will make you angry, but you will appreciate.
I mean, I watch true crime all the time. Does it still look like a tiger? Yes.
Yeah, it just turned. It just flipped. But yeah. And again, how can you combine these things in a way that our ancestors in the past, how do you start making your players question what they know about the rule of things? It's like, okay, so an unexpected comet came by, and then there was an earthquake, and then the moon turned red, and people in the world can't explain why.
Yeah, we've seen Ghostbusters. Actually, that's a great example. It's like the moon turns to sackcloth, the rivers flow with blood. Some guy with a book is just like, oh man, I'm just cracking up these seals. This is a good time. A seven-headed dragon shows up. It starts chomping on people. Like you could bibble the shit out of your campaign, and it would be great.
Dragon shows up, night, full moon, right? Dragon rears back, roars, turns its head sideways, roars. You see the full moon through the open jaws. Dragon closes its mouth, the moon is gone.
It'd be a dark day. Also, the Chrono Trigger. You could Chrono Trigger a game
Chrono Trigger that.
where it's like you get out of bed and you're like, huh. Or for the Turbo nerds out there, you could do a series finale of Star Trek: The Next Generation, where way back in time it's extra bad, but way in the future it's only like a little bit bad, and in between it's pretty bad, and it just true. A DM is like, hey, there's the moon is full and beautiful, and there's a special type of flower that only opens up during the full moon, and it's turning and looking at, oh, was that something that moved in the woods? It's just like, it's coming for me.
This book of the apocalypse is a real page turner. Brad, put it down. Stop reading that out loud. Well, I don't know if any of y'all are watching Fantasy High Junior Year, which look, the first two Fantasy Highs, I'm enjoying Junior Year because it's spending a lot of time talking about godhood and what constitute godhood and domains and what are the rules that govern gods. How do gods die? And if they're losing power, what can they do to not die as a god? So it's super getting me. But they had a thing where they were all out. They found this old monument shrine thing, and someone read it out loud.
I was just joking with someone about we built the Doom machine from the book Don't Build the Doom Machine.
The Doom Machine. Yep.
Look.
Yep.
Squid Game. The whole point of Squid Game is to pillory capitalism. To pillory like everything that is wrong with society. And what does Netflix do? They make a live action Squid Game. And you're like, mein Gott! Could the warning get bigger? Could the screaming get louder?
Starless Solid, I don't know if you watch Transplaner, but that's actually the opening of it. There's not a star in the sky. You mean a cloud?
No. And big shout out to Yoshi P, the great daddy of storytelling in Final Fantasy XIV, because you go into like one of the like alternate or one of the other like similar planets, and you go and it's like, oh man, it's light outside, that's dope. And then time passes and night doesn't fall, and then time passes and night doesn't, and you're like, what's going on here? And then someone from that world is like, oh yeah, somebody turned off darkness. And it's like, what do you mean? It's like, oh no, we have perpetual light, and it's a bad thing, it's evil. And so like, being the bringer of darkness, you are a hero on that planet. Like, night falls and everyone celebrates. But you were already the hero of light. And so if you show up and you're like, hey, I'm the hero of light, they're like, you did this, you motherfucker? But yeah, just like the subversion of like light not good.
Brandon Sanderson did a really cool novella about a planet that was tidal locked, and finding another civilization that was under the moon and how that it was really cool. Eyeball planets, yes.
Um, and so you have so what it boils down to is this is that all of these make great storytelling, put them in your games.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like in our home game we have like a pie vendor and there's a pie eating contest.
I won.
But yeah, you did.
Hey, Puka.
And you got to make sure the pie eating contest leads to you fist fighting God. Now, if you're gonna fist fight God, do it during an eclipse. Do it on top of an active volcano. Look, one of the coolest.
Thank you for lurking, and thank you for chatting now.
Yeah, thank you.
Right,
yeah,
continue,
thank you. You're
David.
welcome. But like one of the coolest episodes of Batman the Animated Series, and I have many things to say about Batman.
Mm.
Batman,
He
Batman Rant is one of them 100,000 point redeems. Because let's face it, your average vanilla flavored person making pies is going to make a better boysenberry pie than pumpkin pie. Because I have had many pies from the Caucasus, from the Caucasus Mountains, and every single boysenberry pie I've had from the Caucasus has been better than every pumpkin pie I've had from the Caucasus. Now, my own people will throw down with some pumpkin pie. I've had some exceedingly good pumpkin pies, including my mother's. But
I make an excellent pumpkin pie fight.
yeah, you do. but your average person, your average Appalachian, their boysenberry pie is going to be better than their pumpkin pie. Is all I'm saying.
Some pumpkin pie is just so bland. You win this round forward. Yeah, like whatever recipe you're looking at to make pumpkin pie, whatever spices they have, at least double it.
Right.
At least double it.
And there are some like internal russet potato flavored people who have looked at the cinnamon and gone, it was a crime to take you off the tree. Please return to the tree. You don't belong in the food that I am making. And
got folks like Burton where the cinnamon's too spicy for him.
Right. Subway sells a $2 footlong churro, and I would never, ever, ever buy more food from Subway.
It was an aside. That was not a contiguous thought, Ilaria. That was David starting a rant and then getting distracted, and now we are down this.
Now we're talking about the Subway churro.
But yeah, Starless Solid said solstice, comet, meteor shower. Do it all on a day when it doesn't make sense. Like, no, this Tuesday is a crescent moon. People need more crescent moons. Crescent moons are awesome. Especially, like, look, I'm not telling you to fuck with your players more, but I'm telling you to fuck with your players more. Start throwing shit out there and see what they react to. Right? Because there's the meme that goes around the internet every so often, which is great, and it's like everyone's camping, and it's like you're setting up camp, and as they're setting up, they hear a wolf howl in the distance, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, what's the status of the moon? Is it full? Is that a werewolf? Are we about to fight a werewolf?" And the GM's like, maybe deleting the wolf pack that they had planned, looking up the stat block for the werewolf. Like, start throwing stuff out. Like, you're camping. It's like you look up at the sky, you see 2 shooting stars, right, on your watch, and then like every so often, just be like, "Do you look up?" JD, thank you so much for the resub, and we're sending you all of the love, all of it. Just every so often, just like, "Oh, do you look at the stars? You know, oh, it's cloudy tonight, so you can't see the stars. We're not going to talk about that." And if you just keep bringing it up, people are gonna be like, "What? Hmm?" Or like, yeah, you look up, it's a beautiful crescent moon. One of you swear you see like incisors coming off the moon's grin. Or you all look at the thing and you all see the beautiful crescent moon. So and so, you see it full, and then you blink and it's back to crescent. What does it mean? I don't know. I'm just gonna throw it out there and see what the players do.
So, I've said repeatedly on this channel that I will take lore from a particular culture that I got no business tooling around with, and change something and do it wrong, so that no one thinks, oh, this is the right way to do it. Like, it'll be intentionally wrong. It is intentionally borrowed and intentionally like delivered wrongly, so that no one, because there are some cultural and there's some religious rites and like religious information that belongs to that religion. You really shouldn't just be running around like telling people about it. I had my players walking through a forest on a way to a thing, and they had to cut off the beaten path, and I kept asking them, you look into the forest, what do you see? And you're chit-chatting with each other, what do you hear? And the whole way there, nothing happened. And half of the way back, nothing happened. And then they ran into why the forest was silent. And it was a good time. That's the other thing I always advocate. Put your players, like, especially if you're concerned about murder hobos, put your players in front of fights they can't win. And be very obvious about it.
Yeah.
Where it's like you feel in the marrow of your bones, in the cockles of your heart, you feel it in your melanin, that they will fold you up into a pretzel and put you into their bag of holding. Like, you don't make the head of the guard, or like, no, like you go to visit the king, and the king and the queen and all these people around. You don't make the guards a bunch of level 4s. You make the head of the guard a dragon rider with a couple of kills under their belt, and then you make everybody who's looking after the king a level 18 something. Like the lady who's pulling a Morgana and advising the king, she's a level 27 wizard, and it only goes up to 20.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go in there and be like, well, we could just assassinate the king. It's like, well, they're going to tear you into pieces and put those pieces in different dimensions. And then whatever's left, they're going to make a stew of and feed you to the creature that is locked underneath the castle, in case someone else stronger than you decides to pick a fight.
Starless Solid said, ooh, magic food made under a celestial event, so you must win the pie eating contest to fist fight God.
Well, that just completely rewrote the entire ending of my home campaign.
It's a good thing I won that pie eating contest.
And now the pie seller is a guy who's like, listen, the whole reason we did this is to figure out who could fight God. And so now it's your job to go put hands on that motherfucker.
My constitution is just that good. In game, not in real life.
None of our constitutions is... Because we did the math, and it was like, what, like 16 pies or something like that?
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
I would love to fight God today. Let's be fair. I have... Most of my characters want to punch a god. Like, most of them. It is actively a goal. None of them have done it yet, but one of them fucked a god, so...
And themselves.
Yeah.
Look,
version of themselves.
Soul is just winning. Okay. However you just you dig up the lore on Soul, Soul is winning.
It's and also losing.
Also
Like,
losing, but
also
winning.
losing, but also yes. So yes, this is bringing us on that note. This is bringing us kind of towards the end of our time. So if you all chat has anything else inspired, any ideas, any memories of things, like what are you gonna do, David? What are you gonna do in the next game you run to add some of these weird cosmic, celestial, natural forces, superstition, folklore things? Yes, just like Gale, into your game.
Gale, yeah, Gale's just trying to put God in his mouth. But at least we know he goes down. That is look, I'm not here to give Gale a whole lot of credit because Gale is on the list there are too many companions where I would just they could beat me on the front line, we throw hands. Starting with Astarion.
David has favorites, he also has not favorites.
Yeah. So I've always been very interested in how things start because you find a book that has a ritual in it that can take the big scary Eldritch horror and put it back in the box. Who wrote the book? Tell me the story of the guy who wrote the book, who figured this out. And I think so. Like one, an idea that immediately springs to mind is it's a campaign where a person has hired adventurers to try the next idea, to try the next thing, to get the bad thing locked in the thing. And there are a long line of people who died. And if you don't get it just right, then you're going to die too. But also, this idea might not work, and we're going to find out. But also, I also love the Samuel Clements. I came in with this comment. I'm going out with this comment. Mm-hmm. And like a bitter ex, like an old bitter ex-husband is like, no, I'm gonna kill you, and so you have to stand guard to keep them from killing the dude, so that he could die of natural causes with the. But out of all of those. Using celestial events both as a timer to get people to rush towards a thing, but also as a way to sort of like shatter things and make everything go, okay, we were going to do this thing, but we're stopping now because Pompeii is under lava.
Yeah.
Is yeah, and like, you know, the earth splits, and actually there's a module I'm working on where it's just like the premise is there's a rumbling in the ground, the earth cracks open, and monsters start flying out. Go fix it. Like it's on Main Street.
Have fun. Yeah, Starless Solace said, I want to run a game now where you need to find the story of this person's life to figure out the book. Right. Slice of life plus horror.
And that's like, there's an old meme from Tumblr where somebody's like, ah, man, they'll make anime out of everything. Like, you know, like they hide state secrets in a cookbook. And then somebody underneath it replies is like, well, actually, that's the plot of Full Metal Alchemist.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and it's literally but yeah, I also like love that idea too of like someone figures something out and then you got to go figure out what they figured out.
Yeah. I really like, I shamelessly love the Dragon Quest series. Love Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest is up there with Final Fantasy for me, right? Love it. And Final Fantasy 11, I'm sorry, not Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest 11 was a brilliant freaking masterpiece. You can play it on your Switch. It is good. Go check out Dragon Quest 11 if you haven't played it. It is so much game for so little money now, and it's if you're like, gosh, this looks nice, this 3D art just doesn't do it for me though, you reach a point in the game and you could switch it and play the entire thing in pixel. They made the entire game in pixel art as well. You could put it in retro mode, and the music also goes 8-bit retro.
That's
Go check
fucking
out.
wild.
So
That's
good.
wild.
So good. But one of the things that you can turn on, and you can opt into it, because I know David is not going to like this, but it's going to be fun. One of the things you can opt into is that NPCs can lie to you. They'll be like, you'll talk to someone in a town, they'll be like, I hear there's a magic sword behind that waterfall. You get behind the waterfall, there's not shit there. Right? You go back, you confront the person, they're like, well, I just told you what I'd heard. I'm not an adventurer.
I would only be okay with that if the NPCs were killable.
But I kind of want to lean, like, because people, you roll up to a small town and they're like, oh yeah, so-and-so was murdered back there. We had 6 people hanging from that tree once upon a time, and now their ghosts hang out, right? And it's all BS, right? Like, yes, horrible things happened in that small town. Not to the people they claim, not in the way they claim. Like, I like the idea of starting to drop in little things about, like, oh yeah, you look up and, you don't see any shooting stars tonight, and for some reason you think that's strange. Like, so you show up to a town and someone's like, when were you born? Oh, you were born under that star. You need to leave. Just weird little cryptic comments that, one off, it's weird. But if it starts happening more and more, people are going to start putting pieces together. And I love that kind of, like, players going like, wait, am I seeing a pattern? Oh no, am I seeing a pattern? That's my favorite. That is a joy. If I'm GMing, I can't, like, if the NPC doesn't know it, they don't know it. No amount of persuasion will help. Yes, that's also true. The retro mode came from the 3DS version, where for the first few hours you played in 2D on the bottom screen and 3D on the top screen. That's bananas.
That's pretty neat. Also, probably very demanding in the 3DS hardware.
3DS was a surprisingly powerful little beast. Like, that was a little tank. But yes, put more once in a lifetime events in your campaigns, especially if you are planning on playing within the same world for more than one campaign. Because you do that once, you're like, oh, there's a comet, and you know, the artificers and all of the wizards in the schools have put their heads together and they've done the math, and you won't see that comet again for 80 years. And then it shows up in your second campaign, and it's not been that long.
Right. That'll definitely put you in the chamber, make you think things.
So, I hope that gives you some inspiration, some fun ideas to do, and thank you all for hanging out with us. Thank you for chatting and sharing your stories and your ideas. Like, I had so much fun just plotting and world building with you all. And yeah, you've made things just a little bit more anxious for a future game that I run. For the players of future game. Like, thank you for your
oh man, so many things. Yeah, it'd be a good time.
Someone from south of the equator goes north, but the constellations don't change. Not but the one from the north gets it right away. Just punish one player. Ooh. We are going to go on over and see Xander, who is playing Legend of Zelda. We talked about Majora's Mask. It is that time. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for being so great. We will see you I will see you next week. David is being kicked off the show. Candace the Magnificent will be here being magnificent, along with Mimics and Misfits talking about a little something he's working on. So thank you all. You are wonderful. Be kind to yourself. Be excellent to others. And we will see you next time. Bye, y'all.